All right, hello, hello. A little bit dark here as we are in the night over here. We did buy, what is this? This is Sawyer North, so we did finish up buying Sawyer North. I think there's a helicopter. Yeah, there's a bunch of helicopters all dicking around up there. Let's see what we want to do. JSI, BVG. Go do a little crabbing. How much money we have on here? 36. We don't have a ton of cash. We do have the pigeon out in the world. Let's go ahead and sleep, see if we can't get a mission. Let's make sure no clip is off. It is. Okay, good. Let's sleep, get a mission. Go from there, try to get a little bit of daylight. Good to see you back, Rasmus. I could nap on those, maybe not. I think the new game will be a good thing for stormworks. It's going to be a new revenue source, and you know, they'll be able to update both of them in parallel. I think that's going to be a good thing. Hope it's for some more stormworks DLCs. That'd be good. What did we get for a mission? I just saw it pop up, but I didn't look. Okay, that's it. Blue recreational boat distress request assistance. Search the area, locate emergency. All right, good. Just jump through the middle. Get out of here with that shit. I really hated how every one of my razor mice, the goddamn scroll wheel starts to die on it. We should have looked around there for loot crates, but we'll get some when we go to the hospital island here. Yeah, the zombies don't interest me. It's like, you know, it's like anything. They had to add a theme, and it's like, you know, it's tough because they're dealing with a bunch of different audiences. They're dealing with the kiddies who want like zombies and silly shit like that, and they need something to get them who, you know, they're trying to, you know, they have to please enough audiences to get people to buy it from different walks of life. And so some of the people they need to buy the game are going to be the people who don't build anything and who just download something off the workshop and want to be able to go shoot at shit. And so as much as that sucks for those of us who don't like to do it, it's helpful because it ends up helping to finance the game so that we can play the stuff that we want to play with. So I think the building system's great. I think, you know, I would say it's probably very likely they're going to let you shut the zombies and all that shit off. You know, I think their big focus, it seems like, definitely with this game, is the building, and it wouldn't surprise me if that is also going to be part of the new game. Is, you know, the building is going to be a huge part of it, and so, you know, I don't think they're going to make it so that you necessarily have to do some of the stuff. And I think there's probably going to be room for expansion where, like, people are saying, oh, I'm disappointed they didn't just do, like, farming or logistics of this. It's like, you know, the building element, once, you know, people get used to the building element, and the building element seems great already, I think it's pretty easy for them to expand in other directions, kind of like they did with this. Like, you know, you still hear people booing and hooing that, oh my god, they did something other than rescue for Stormworks. It's a rescue game. And it's like, that's one theme they came up with in the beginning, you know, and then they added other themes. Like, when they first come out with a game, they can't make it 972,000 themes. They make one theme, and then they add to it, you know, and so I think they'll do that with the new game, you know. Because, you know, you saw how many, you know, they've been working on it for 5 years, so you saw how many people were like, give us weapons, give us weapons, give us weapons for this, and that's like, okay, well, let's make weapons better and a big theme of the new game, and that will get people interested in it, you know, and I think that's probably what they're doing, is they're starting like that, and they're, you know, added weapons, added zombies and weapons as a main theme in the game, survival. You know, people ask for more survival elements in this game, and so that kind of tells them, you know, some of what people are looking for, and so they build a game around that, you know, so we'll see what becomes of, you know, what they'll be able to do in updates and everything else, but you know, it really wouldn't surprise me. I think they're going to be able to add a lot of themes to the new game. I think the building is cool. I think the other thing, too, is, you know, they had to be careful not to cannibalize Stormworks. And this is where people like, they should have just built Stormworks 2. Okay, well, one, you know, once Stormworks 2 comes out, I think you don't get many, if any, sales of Stormworks 1. And so then you have to worry from a developer's perspective of like, okay, well, this game has to be successful because we just killed off our other game, you know, and so I think that's probably part of it, is they need to really be careful with that. And so by making this a different game, they're not cannibalizing from Stormworks. I think what a smart path for them would be is now they have 2 titles, hopefully 2 successful titles. And then once you have 2 successful titles that are different enough that you can maintain you know, different audiences, you know, you're going to get a lot of crossover, certainly, but you'll definitely have, you know, different audiences be able to play that game, the 2 games. Then you can, hopefully, you know, they're financing in enough, hopefully they get enough financing with this new game that they can improve both alongside one another. And so, if you think of it like a staggered approach, right? So you had Stormworks in 2018. It's been going on since 2018. They've been working on this last game for 5 years. So, you know, it's been, what, 8 years? 8 years they've been working on Stormworks. So let's say 3 years they just spend working back and forth updating these 2 games. And then they start working on their next game. Let's say that's Stormworks 2. And so by that point, this Stormworks is long enough in the tooth where a complete rewrite, I think, would be warranted. You know, Rasmus talked about yesterday his concerns about, like, it has to be backwards compatible. I don't necessarily think that has to be the case when you get to the point of, what would that be, 3 years from now? That's talking 11-year-old game. And again, it'd take 5 years. So if they said 3 years from now, let's say 8 years total till they actually come out with I'm pressing the wrong key, no wonder. I'm gonna drown here in a second. You know, if you say 8 years from now is when Stormworks 2 comes out, well, you think about how old Stormworks 1 is at that point. And it's old enough that, yes, it would be great if you get backwards compatible, but it's like, you know, if the building system is improved in Stormworks 2, do I really want to take my old shitty builds from Stormworks 1 and put them in Stormworks 2? No, I don't care. You know, I could always go back and play Stormworks 1 if I want to play with those builds. But, you know, I would much rather... They have two different building systems. You know, like, I like the new building from the little I saw of it of the new game, but I would much rather if it was in a workbench, personally. I don't really care about standing there with a wrench and building with somebody else. Now, in that survival game, I think it makes sense. I think it's fun, it's interesting, it's something different, and you can play that. Yeah. Just be careful if anyone's friends with Sergeant. It looks like his shit's hacked, so. Stand by. I'm trying to... Somebody from the community's hacked, so I'm trying to make sure I don't have any issues with that. You know, and so I think after about that amount of time, you know, you can pretty much say, all right, you know what, new game, get over your old stuff, you know, get used to the new game systems, and you know, because they're gonna, you know, I think a big thing that they need to do to improve Stormworks that I think would be beneficial, but would make it so that nothing's going to be backwards compatible, is change the build size. And I like this new, what do they say, 8 centimeter square. I like the new build system on this. It's going to be, you know, allow you to get much more character to your builds, better shaping, stuff like that. And I think by having the two different games playing against each other, they can see what would work for a Stormworks 2, for example, and take the best elements of both games and kind of bring them together. You know, and they would have the amount of money they could do to continue working on the game, you know. Yeah, since they started, it's already 10 years old, yeah. You know, so I think it's a bit, I think worrying about backwards compatibility at this point is not really feasible or something really should be concerned about too much, because it's like, I would much rather them innovate in the new game. And you want to go back, you want to keep playing Stormworks for the next 100 years, great. But if they came out with a new one and the building systems were better, and you know, I don't think having it not be compatible is a bad thing, because hopefully they make the building system better, you know. Am I in the wrong one? Nope, it was going up, I just didn't pay attention. You know, I think the new building system's innovative and interesting. I think that's really good. I think there'll be some good middle ground. You know, maybe they never come back to Stormworks, you know? Who knows? You know, but I think Alistair was saying yesterday, if they never did anything into the game again, I would still have plenty of entertainment on this game. Yeah, I'd love to see them put out a DLC for Stormworks once they kind of get the new game established. Yeah, but they talked about it, you know, they're not leaving Stormworks. It's going to be developed alongside and added to and updated on the regular schedule, which is good, you know. Wish they'd marked the helipad. I think it's right about where I put the mark, but... Let's see how close my guess was to where the helipad actually is. Not too shabby. Right there. I thought I just grabbed a medkit out of there. I must have put it back. Must have been what I did. Alright, good. Alright, that's some cash money, dollar bills. I think it wanted us to repair the boat too, and it's at the bottom of Davy Jones, so we got some of it done. Okay, that's the oil being made there. I'm nervous about sleeping in a bed here if the weather gets crazy, just because I don't think I have the parking brake set up on this one. Now this one's interesting. Transport a lost shipping container. That's an interesting one. See, this is neat. It's not worth enough money. 2,500 bucks, but it's interesting. So I'm not going to do it because it's not worth my time, but I'm not going to play for too long today. I got to go to work tomorrow. I don't believe I have space turned on. Maybe I do. What's this? Oh, I have no clips on, maybe. Yeah, I didn't think I had space turned on. Maybe I turned on in case I want to do anything. Yeah, I have no clip on too, so. An old bomber wreck. No, can't do that right now. Okay, we can do that. Read this chat real quick. Yeah, that's what I would think, is like it would make them so they have to stick to too much of what this game is. And I think, you know, you always have to differentiate the new game, and I think backwards compatibility often makes so you don't differentiate the new game. And so personally, like, I don't mind redoing all my builds if the game was a vast improvement. You know, like Tethys was, or Triton was one of my favorite builds ever, and I don't ever use it anymore, you know, and it's still good nostalgia for it, enjoy it, but like Tethys is a much better ship overall now. And it's like, I don't really think I would go back. You know, like I would like to see them do smaller grid, better optimization. You know, I like the way they do the panels, but I'd like to make it so you can have things like thrust lever quadrants and all of that. And I like, you know, I think it's an improvement in the new game, the moving steering wheels. You know, you see moving yoke, stuff like that would be good. You know, a different microcontroller setup where, you know, I kind of like that the microcontroller for the engine lives inside of the engine, so I don't have to, like, make these big panels, stackable nodes. If you're doing, you know, other microcontrollers would be good. Like, better door parts, like small hinges, small handles, manual stuff, like manual handles, so I can just grab the handle and, you know, turn it to open the door. I didn't even look on that. I knew there was a crate on that island. I didn't go do the crates. Should have done that. I like this build. This build's working out well, flies well. Come on, Razor. If you can make a mouse with a goddamn mouse wheel works for more than like 2 days, I'll be thrilled. Why is it sitting on its tail? Oh, because I'm not on the point is why. I'm not on the point, so it was trying to go backwards for it. I'll fix that real quick. It was still trying to slow itself down and adjust to the point, and then I had it drop itself down. There we go. Thought there was an exit there. Is there not? There isn't. Okay. Okay. What are we talking? 7-3 right there. Five. And there were at least 2 upstairs. So that'd be 7 with the 2 upstairs. Throwing carcasses all over the ground. You know, I think the other benefit too is, you know, there are certain elements of the other game that if people like, you know, could come to this game. You know, like if there are survival, like eating, drinking mechanics in the new game, which makes sense. You know, you can see that coming to this game if people really enjoy it. I really wish I had med kits. Because half these people are going to fall down again. There we go. Ah, you fuckers. I knew they were gonna do this shit. I did it a weird way, but I was hoping they weren't gonna act a fool here. Listen, you dickheads. I don't have the health to be doing this shit. Come on, assholes. That guy gets to die. I don't care. I have 1 behind me, and that's it. He's a piss off. Thoroughly fucking annoyed I would be. Oh, Christ on the crack of that door. Alright, everybody get in here and stop acting like a bunch of jackasses. Alright. Look at these fools. I don't care. I really don't. These fucking assholes. Try to do a good thing and go rescue a bunch of people, and they act like fools. Did they say any time frame, Alistair, when they think the new game is dropping? Who asked you to follow him? Really? Stop following me, you jackasses. That's cool. Yellow fishing boat requires servicing. Let's look at that one. That's one reason why I wanted this new build for the challenge to be diesel. Like, it's been sitting over there running, and it cost me pennies. So it's like, I don't care at all that this sucker's running over there. If it was jet, I would definitely shut that sucker off. It's just so cheap to run diesel. Oh, BRB. I think it's funny, like, the people on Reddit poo-pooing the zombies. Like, again, I don't care for zombies either, but the, they act as though nobody wants zombies, and it was something that people asked for this game, and it's like, you know, people had asked for it. That's why they could put them in. You know, not everything has to be for you. Like, zombies aren't for me. I know Alistair is not interested in them either, but it's like, not everything has to be about you, you know? Yeah. You know, and hopefully some other elements that come to the game that make it more for me, you know? Yeah, I put my thoughts in the poll. Zombies could be cool from, you know, there needs to be some reason, like, there needs to be some danger to go out in the world. Like, that's something like with Tarkov, like, when you're going out and you're raiding, there needs to be a reason why it's scary to go in that building to get the supplies you need. And so those types of games where you have to get parts for, like, the build, if, you know, that's my understanding, right, Alistair, that you have to go find some of these parts. And so, like, if you have to go into a building to get the parts, there needs to be some sort of risk so that, you know, it makes you go prepared, it makes you bring your tools. There also needs to be some end game where, like, you eventually get a strong enough vehicle with, like, a mounted gun that zombies don't matter anymore. You know, there's plenty of zombie stuff that I do like 7 Days to Die. Alright, so I'm going to put something on here. See how those detached? Let's see. Side doors only, detach, winch, and doors open. So I didn't want those to detach, so Because those are going to be a pain in the ass to get rid of now. You know, like, I would much rather the game have farming and transport and all this shit. And I saw some people on Reddit also want that, but it's like, you know, again, is that going to be enough to keep, you know, the game, to keep the game with a player base? You know, you don't know. You know, a bunch of people are like, oh, there's no boats, I'm not playing. It's like, okay, play Stormworks. You know? Yeah, it's not like they came out with Stormworks 2 and they said there's no boats. You know, it's a new game. It's a different type of game. No, plus, they said they probably will add them at some point, but it's like, play Stormworks. You know, if all you want to do is boats, like, I see this a lot, though. The kind of reason why I'm making fun of it was the, you get some people that, oh, Stormworks is all about boats. It's like, no, it isn't. It's about many different types of vehicles. It's like, just because you only enjoy boats doesn't mean that's what the game's all about, you know? You know, and that's fine that you enjoy only boats in game, but that doesn't mean that that's what the game is about, or is only about, you know? I think some people miss that. Yeah, I think having a survival element and having, like, cooperative building is more, like, that makes more sense. I like how you have to change filters and stuff like that. I think that's cool. You know, that's something Alistair was talking about, was, like, you know, how, you know, in this, you pretty much just always put your stuff back in the workbench. And so it comes back to you 100% repaired. I'm glitching the wall real quick here. That's why I don't want that mess of harnesses back there. I gotta fix this. Yeah, see, this is designed to not do this, and it's doing it right now, so let's get out of here. And we'll put some fixes on this. This is part of the importance of testing out your builds to make sure that they, you know, in a career game where you're actually going to have some different opportunities to do different things, because you realize what's going to work and what doesn't. And so, like, I should have made sure I opened the doors and dropped all 3 winches, but I didn't think about it, and now you see what the result is. Now they're all jammed up, they're all screwed up, I can't get them out again, I have to go back and reset it, so I'm going to set it up logic-wise where it can't do this. Exactly, I think Rasmus is on the right point. It's all about sinking 10 Titanics at the same time. And each Titanic takes 2 hours and 45 minutes to sink, like the real one did. This is when I wish that all the microcontrollers run on top. Get a good picture. That picture actually can't really tell is that much microcontroller on top. So I was finding people like, oh, the stuff in stormworks doesn't sink realistically, and then you're like, well, how long do you want your Titanic to sink? Oh, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes. I'm like, well, the real one's 2 hours and 45 minutes, so like, maybe you should put that realism in some quotes. As realistic is relative. Have I heard of MS Estonia? I don't know if I have or not. I probably heard it in passing. be back in Alistair's country here tomorrow? Right, tomorrow. Yeah, but it's definitely the best way. Is go on a career game and like play with your builds and see what they actually need. It's like that door problem I didn't even think about until I saw it happen. You know. Alright, we're almost back to base. Oh, interesting. These are all important things to do to test out your autopilot tools. You want to do like some real rapid descents in a sense and changes in heading and stress out your rotors, do collective and roll and pitch all at the same time and see if anything freaks out. Where did I put the marker? Right there where it should be, okay. Let's see if we can taxi in with the new ground idle. Increase the ground idle a little bit. Still doesn't like to taxi uphill very well, but that's fine. Still hover taxi anywhere I need to go. Alright, good. Let's open up the latest version. I'm not going to edit this version. Now let's check these doors. Alright, so that's going to be if the winches are not at 0, it'll drop them, and then the side doors also need to be at 1. Alright, so doors have to be open now, and the winches have to be off. Alright, so those won't detach now. I gotta fix it so that I don't want the ropes going out either. Oh, nice. That's perfect. Alright. I need to read in winch length on that one. No, I don't. I can do that. Did I want to do that? No. Let's see what I want to do on this. This needs to be fixed. It's not. All right, that will work. I'll make it 0 when make it 0 when the connectors are connected. When it drops them, they'll now switch up and go down. Just fucked that up. No, I didn't. Where's the door handle? Oh, it's right there. Okay. All right, that should work. All right, so the doors are open. They should go down fine. All right. That's because it doesn't have power. All right, now if we... All right, so now those winches aren't moving and they're not dropping, so I can just do the center. And if I were to put that down... All right, that's good. Just trying to make it pretty foolproof so that it can't accidentally drop all the harnesses inside. Yeah, so that works really well. Excellent, excellent, excellent. All right, so that was good to figure out. Let's go ahead and we have anything around us? Let's make sure no clips off. The container one's interesting to me, but it's just, it's worth $2,000. It's not worth enough money. Yeah, especially because, like, you get a 30 grand to take a container up to BVG. It should be worth at least what a normal cargo container would be to go from this distance, plus a premium. Yeah. Okay, let's get the transponder locator hooked up. Where's the physics sensor? Okay. Alright, let's start. It's active. Oh, shit. Come on, climb. So what I was trying to do with the transponder locators that I just couldn't get to work right. They need to be too far apart. You essentially would, you know, you should be able to put like, say, 3 at least for triangulation, and it essentially can tell the distance or the how often they're beeping, but the differential's not high enough. You have to go too far away, so you can't really put them on one craft. And so the kind of the point would be you use it where if you had 3 of them on there, it could tell between the distances or the change in pulse between the 3 and triangulate where it is. And I just can't get that to work. So that's the island there. This is a cool island to own. Cargo boat in distress. There's. Okay. I don't think I've done this one before. Maybe I have. Mission hasn't popped up yet, so I'm trying to get close enough where it... There it is. Alright. Try to stay dry when I can. Fires, casualties, alright. I don't know why I opened that door. I don't know where the fire is. I'm being burned to shit though. Yeah. Getting the shit burned out of me. Where the hell is the, how do I get down? You gotta float, right? Okay, you float for a bit. Yeah, it'd be, yeah, you can make a drone do it. The other thing I thought is you put ground stations down, and it would compare to the ground stations. How many were there total here? 3 casualties. So just this last person. Should have brought the defib down with me. I don't know if I can put them in the harness with the... They're incapacitado. No, I can't put them in there. Can I keep them on me, though? No, I can't. Alright. That was an error on my part. I gotta put this freaking fire out. Fire's out. Go back up and get a defib and jolt the sucker. How much time you got? 5 minutes? Yeah, we got time. All right. Yeah, that'd be interesting too. Drop like check buoys. My flashlight's out of battery. Okay. I like this new system with the 3 of them, and it's good. Works out well. And these are very reliable. The connection system there now. Get rid of this defib. Grab the torch. Right. Could go to the hospital boat right here. I think that's what I ought to do. Alright, let's go ahead and we'll shut off nav. Shut off altitude hold, and I'll come in manually here. Let's go ahead and... It's good to have a blowtorch in my hand while I'm flying. nope. Don't take off again. Put ground idle on there for a reason. God damn it, we're sliding off. Fuck you, hospital ship. Nice thing about this this helicopter versus some of my VTOLs is the you don't have to worry about getting your head wrapped up in the rotors. Katydid was, you know, notoriously dangerous for the prop on the front. Just walking into that. This one's pretty safe. You can just walk around and don't have to worry about getting killed all the time. Nice. All right, good. Let's go back to base and I think we'll finish up. But loving this new helicopter. It works really well. I didn't want it too big. I don't think it is. I wanted it to be diesel because it's just so fuel efficient, and that's good for early game when we don't really have a have the jet fuel manufacturing set up yet. So that's really good. Autopilot's working great. It's super stable. The tilting rotors, just for that little extra speed, they're very intuitive. You just pretty much start going the direction you want, and they'll tilt forward once you hit a certain speed. It's progressive too. It does it slowly for you, so it's nice. Yeah, I'm really happy with this helicopter. It's working out well. Glad it fits well on Tethys, because eventually we're going to get Tethys into the game. Working on that. It's taking me right for the mountain, see? I'll hand fly it the rest of the way in. A lot of the work I want to get done, but if I don't do anything my last day of work, I'll probably do that. All right. So made some good progress in the build too. All right, guys, I think we'll finish up there. Thanks for everybody for hanging out. Good to see Alistair and Rasmus. If you guys liked the video, give it a like. If you're new and you enjoyed it, consider subscribing. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.